Well, hello everybody, and be prepared. I'm going to get into some numbers here, and so kind of a forewarning. I'm not here to impress anybody or try to think that I know something more about numbers than the next guy. I actually am very ignorant on this subject, and the only real revelations I've had in searching numbers have really come recently, and it's of course after studying 3, 6, and 9, which 3 always leads to 9 eventually. But I made a video a while back about septenaries and about the idea of 4 as the transitional number and where the Star of David comes from, and which also correlates with the fruit of life and Metatron's cube and the flower of life, and it goes on and on and on in these cycles. And anybody who starts getting into numerology or numbers, the stuff is daunting. It's so overwhelming once you start seeing the patterns in the number 3, 6, and 9 that it's really hard to understand in my mind what it all means. But you start to see the illusion, and this is why I got into this. You see an illusion and you start to see through it. They say that if you understand numbers, you have the key to the universe, like the Tesla saying, and so I want to know that key, right? So bear with me. I don't have very much time to hang out. I've been just scrambling, all the time to work and to watch the kids all weekend, and I finally have like just a few minutes out here, so I'm going to toke while I do this. So the reason I decided to do this particular video is because I looked into solfeggio and I was very interested in it, and I'm the kind of guy who, whenever I'm interested in something, I look at it like a skeptic as well. I look at it from the other point and see if I can disprove it, because I feel that that's what we're all obligated to do. For example, if you believe in God, you should be able to look against God and see what other people say. If you like a certain sports team, you should look at the other teams. Or maybe if you're into a political party, you should understand the other party. If you're voting for one law, you should understand both sides of it. That kind of stuff. It's all about that. So, I wanted to understand solfeggio from a different point of view. I wanted to know why they chose the certain numbers. And I just got all fascinated this morning. And I'm going to show you what I found here, because this is too much for me to really explain any other way, okay? I've been doing this for pretty much all day today. Not all day, I mean I spent, on and off, but I've been thinking about it all day. Okay, so I was looking at this. I'm going to turn the camera so I can try to get a view. Okay. So I was looking at these different ideas about, the symbols of 72 and 36 and whatnot. So I started looking at the solfeggio frequencies. Now there's actually, I believe, in this series I have, there are 9 of them. But actually these don't include, I just kind of threw those on for fun. That's 100, let's see. Okay, I don't want to get too confusing here. These are the frequencies in hertz of solfeggio frequencies. And to understand what that means, let's just explain for a minute what solfeggio is. They're frequencies that were supposedly, quote, lost from mankind, that were supposedly, quote, hidden, that the church had tried to suppress because they got one closer to God, and the church didn't want that, and then they changed the scale, and supposedly with these certain frequencies you can change your entire DNA structure. You can alter your DNA. They talk about DNA repair at 528 hertz. And so I wanted to know, is this true? Okay, so here's some of the interesting things I found about the numbers. But completely, you'll see where I'm going with this in a minute, but you reduce these. 7 plus 4 plus 1 is 12, reduced to 3. When you reduce these solfeggio numbers, they go 369, 369, 369. And the interesting thing is, there's 111 between each one, okay? 111, except for this one. From 396 to 417, it goes to 21 instead of 111, which is just another interesting concept. But all the math adds up to 3s. It's always like that. Then there's 369, 369. 3 times 6 times 9 is 162, which is 9. It's always 9. Okay, now let's set this one aside and move on to what got more interesting. These are the only tones that are actually considered in the actual set of solfeggio, right? There's 21. It's plus 21 for the first one, then plus 111 for all the rest of them. A very interesting idea, and the actual pattern is 936, 936, okay? Now, 9, 6, and 3 are 18, which are 9. If you add them this way, you come up with 54, which equals 9. The whole idea is, I'm not trying to explain anything more than 9 is, this is how 9 comes up all the time, because people talk about it, but they don't explain it. I hear people speak about numbers mystically, but they say, you have to look into it. Well, this is what they mean, all of these symbols become 3s, 6s, and 9s, and it all ties together. Well, here's the interesting thing that I want to know about solfeggio, and this is where I'm getting at on this one. You need good, solid, concrete evidence in order to say that these tones are actually healing people or helping people. Now, of course, we have the power of suggestion. We have the mind's ability to interpret things certain ways. But let me explain where I'm coming from on this. I need an actual honest answer from somebody who understands what I'm talking about. When you talk about hertz, you're talking about a frequency of vibration. For example, 20 hertz is 20 cycles per second. It means that every second there's 20 vibrations of the speaker. Okay? 1,000 hertz would be, a kilohertz, right? Or was it megahertz, kilohertz? Anyway, kilohertz, I think. And you've got, of course, 1,000. So you got a kilohertz, and these are different frequencies, 1,000 oscillations per second, right? Now let's just take it down to the root of what that means. That's per second. Do you understand what a second is? Now the second is a unit of measurement we finally created, and I believe it wasn't even utilized until the 1600s, and we're using it much later on to be an accurate measurement of an atomic decay of a cesium atom. Okay, this is what they talk about when they say atomic clock. They're measuring the decay of a cesium atom, and that's how we get our second of measurement. So if this measurement didn't exist in ancient times, if there were no hertz, then why would these numbers, these vibrations that are correlating to seconds, exist in ancient times? They didn't exist, and if they did, then these numbers mean something different. So they say these numbers are encoded in all this information. So what I'm asking for is if anybody knows, because I'm a skeptic on this now, because I've been really interested in solfeggio. The tones have really helped me. And I thought, anyway, and whatever, I listened to them when first time I was shrooming, and who knows the kind of effects I may have had subconsciously. And I still listen to them. They're very enjoyable. But my question is, are they really doing anything for people other than psychosomatically? Because if you're going to put a history behind this, you have to have the evidence. So the evidence is, where's the real evidence that these particular tones were the ancient tones? B, how can you say that solfeggio exists, and how do you explain the fact that seconds did not exist, therefore 528 hertz would be oscillations per second? That didn't exist then, right? And C, they say that 528 hertz is the frequency of love, and that's the one that, I can't remember the guy's name, he used for DNA repair. Supposedly they used it to repair DNA. So when I looked into it, other people have been asking the same questions. Only one guy did it, and he wouldn't show his work, I guess. So there's no proof that it cures DNA or helps repair DNA. But these people, these new age groups are going around spreading this shit like it's gospel. They're creating all these angelic and earthly and all these different harmonic things on solfeggio, but I just need to understand, if this is true, that's all great and dandy. If there's some ascension level thing that we can actually, because I understand vibratory rates are important, and I believe that these vibrations are important. But how do you know you have the right ones if you're basing it on a second cycle on the decay of a cesium atom? That's what I need to know. Because if I can understand that, then I can move past it. Now the numbers themselves are super important, obviously. They're divided by 21, by 111. They all add up to 963. I mean, the number set is important. There's got to be a reason for this. Now, so today when I was searching for this, I was looking on this page, and this is what I found out. This is a computer page. This guy made this web page, and he started talking about this. Let's see if I can just maybe make a quick film of some of this stuff. What did he say? Yeah. He's talking about adding these different numbers, and let's just give it one little random example. He's talking about Revelation. Okay, I'm going to get to that in a minute, but because that's the only interesting one. So, when they're talking about years, that's one thing. Because years are always the same. It's a cycle, 365-day year. But how about this? When they talk about this, if you take the two numbers and you blah, 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 you add them up, they talk about the speed of light, which is measured on miles per hour, which is also man-created. And a lot of these, they start talking about frequencies. Okay, phi ratio. See, now we're getting into stuff that actually matters. But when you get down there and you start saying, okay, some of these, we're comparing these with the circumference of the sun, or something like that. So if you're saying, okay, the circumference of the sun is measured in, say, feet, and something else is measured in miles, that doesn't really make any sense to me. Like, how do you take modern day measurements and the numbers of them and make them correlate to something important? I really thought I could find a better example than that, but I'm just going to read you something that I found that was interesting. Revelation, okay? This part right here is the only part of the Bible that I've finally been able to find somebody who could decode and understand something that really makes sense, okay? This is Revelation 13:18. Well, first there's 13:17. It says, so no one can buy or sell unless he has the mark, that is, the name of the beast or the number of its name. Now this is 13:18, okay? This calls for wisdom. Let him who has understanding reckon the number of the beast, for it is a human number, and its number is 666. Now, somebody pointed out to me this today, and this is fascinating. Revelation 13:18. If you take 13 times 18, you get 234. And if you add that to its reversal, 432, you get 666. Now, if that's not just a coincidence, if you take 13 and divide it by 18, you get 0.72. 0.72 and 27 are both very important mirror images. And you can mirror a lot of these numbers. Of course, they all add up to 9 also. And when you look at the 234 and the 432, that's a very interesting idea. You're breaking things up into chapters. You're taking the Bible and you're encoding it in information. There's a reason why these passages are so small. And who knows what those even really mean, or if they were translated correctly. But I was giving an example of one that was finally somebody's putting their homework down and saying, okay, these are some things that make sense. Now, these are just numbers. We're talking about Revelation 13:18, and that's there. Those numbers don't change. So you take 13 times 18, it's always going to be 234. Add it to its own reversal, it's always going to be 432. It's always going to be 666. What I'm saying is that when you're using numbers to divide among themselves, it's always the same. And when you start learning about 3s, 6s, and 9s, as Nikola Tesla said, you do have the key to the universe. Understanding how to use it is a different story. So I guess what I'm getting at is that I'm very fascinated by this stuff, and I'm very humbled by the fact that I know very little about it, and I want to know more, and I know that there's an answer there. I understand that this is where a lot of Judaism and Kabbalistic teachings lead. This is where a lot of secret societies, especially Freemasonry, leads. 33 degrees is not just a chance. None of these things are chances. All these symbols are important. We know this. This is basic knowledge. And if anybody doesn't understand that yet, if you don't even understand the number 33 or any of these things, then I know you're probably out of your league and you don't even know what the hell I'm talking about. This is for people who at least have a little bit of a grasp on the numbers. And I'm just fascinated with it. I have all this shit written down about different numbers. They all come out to 9s. Everything's divided by 9. It's a fascinating thing. And 7, of course, plays in very prominently too. But when you start getting into the base 9 number system, you start to see it everywhere. If you were to say 216, the number 216 is a fascinating number in its own right. Even the 144, of course. The 144 actually comes in the Bible right after that part I just read with the the Revelations there. And he says the number of the beast, for it is a human number. Its number is 666. That part's fascinating, that those numbers add up to that. Who knows if it's a chance? But then they talk about the Lamb and the Father's name written on their foreheads. And I heard a voice from heaven like the sound of many waters. And the voice I heard was like the sound of harpers, blah, 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 blah. 144,000 who had been redeemed from the earth. It is those who have not defiled themselves with women, for they are chaste. It is those who follow the Lamb wherever he goes, those who have been redeemed from mankind as it fruits for God and the Lamb. And in their mouths no lie was found, and they were spotless. The 144,000 thing comes up again, now 144. In its own right is a very important number. It's 2 times 72. That 72, that's the division of even the previous chapter. 13 divided by 18 is 0.72. 72 times 2 is 144. These numbers keep repeating themselves over and over. 144 reduced is 9. 72 reduced is 9. They're all 9. Everything is 9. And so I guess I want people to be able to understand this in a form that's better than I do, so they can explain it to me in layman terms. Because I hear a lot of people talk very complicated talk about this kind of stuff, and they put forward math equations that are totally beyond me, and I don't understand. So I'm trying to just put the numbers down in front of me. It's truly my belief that math is the language of God, and math will explain vibration. Frequency explains vibration. Now, if you're talking about oscillations of something, I can understand that. Now, if Hertz were based on oscillations per astral event, per something that was measurable naturally. You see what I mean? A second was only created to divide the day that was in 24 hours down from minutes down to seconds by 60. That's 6. That base number system, we're using a different system for our this is why we use the same thing. People, the rest of the world disses America for using, feet and inches rather than the metric system. But I gotta say that there's some really deep reasons why. And it's kind of funny, there's actually, why else would we use 12 inches in a foot? And the inch is very close to the pyramid inch. But still, when they measure stuff, they try to use a regular inch and say, well, this is our measurement. You can't use modern measurements to measure ancient things, is what I'm saying. And this is why they tried to use formulas to explain when they built pyramids and when they built these chambers inside the pyramids, when they put all these different ancient sites around the earth. There are areas where there are literally millions of sites that are built on ley lines and earth grid, and I believe these things are important sites. I do believe that these frequencies exist and that the ancients were able to harness those energies. But my question once again goes back to my skepticism. For the same people I ask, how can you prove your numerology based on measurements that are modern? How can you prove these ancient sites really had any, or that you understand how they work? This is something I'm trying not to diss anybody, because I know a lot of people. Everybody's just out here to learn. And if somebody tells me, well, this is what this is, I'll say, okay, you show me the math. But some people seem to have the answers all figured out. They're trying to tell you that the earth needs this, and that these beings are coming down, and that I've channeled this, and I have this channeling to listen to, and these people always tell me the truth, and that there's beings from Zeta Reticuli and all these things. I'm not here to dispute that, but I'd like to know, where's the real evidence? Where's... A lot of it's just bullshit. I see so many videos where people predict things that are going to happen and stuff that they've been told, and all that's just nonsense. What we need to do is understand the basic root for things. It's not up to me to tell people what they study and what they don't, but there's just too much battling going on between people. It's almost like the ego has to win out. One person has to know more. I've seen that so much. People have these competitions of knowledge. Who knows more? Who can do better? I'm just dying to see a video from somebody else that teaches me something, because that's what I like. I don't want to try to find somebody who knows something and go, oh, they're kind of infringing on me. And that's, because that's not right. Knowledge is one of those things that are free. I've noticed a lot of these new age kind of groups are providing all this information on a webpage about how great it is to ascend and come to this level and these vibrational chakras, and you can activate your DNA, is show me how the hell you activate your DNA. I've looked into this and I have no proof whatsoever. They have nothing on it. Most of this is just gimmicks to sell you shit. Does that mean it's not true? No. Perhaps there was an ancient teaching of ways to activate different strands of DNA, or however they want to put it. But is there any laboratory experiment that I've seen so far to prove it? No. And so we need something. We need something solid. Now, why am I talking about all this shit? It's because we need something that we can grasp onto. Everybody wants to have these answers to life. And I finally came to the point in my life where I realized that all the speculation out there is always just going to be speculation, never going to be able to be proven. But math, you cannot lie. You can't. You can't change it. When you look around you and you start to see the numbers everywhere, it's undeniable that there's something else deeper, a deeper meaning to everything. And a person can label it to whatever they want, I guess. But you know, I'm just another person doing the best I can to try to educate myself. And I make videos because sometimes while I'm making a video I learn more just talking out loud than I would have learned by writing it down. It's almost like it's counseling, I guess, for me. So everybody tell me, I'm curious to know what you think about the Revelation 13:18, because that's another interesting one. The funny thing is, it says, the 234 plus 4032 is 666. Also, if you divide them, 13 over 18 is 0.72. Adds to 9. 72 years is the time it takes for each of the Earth's precession to move 1 degree through the constellations, which was very important to the ancients, as they understood the meaning of the constellation rising behind the sun. 432 encodes the speed of light and the diameter of the moon, because half of 432 is 216. There's that number. And 432 squared is the speed of light. Also, double 432 and you get 864, which is the diameter of the sun. Now, this is the problem I get to. These things, right, where they talk about the speed of light and the diameter of the sun. The diameter is measured in increments of measurement, modern measurements. I don't know how accurate that is, but what about the speed of light? That's measured in what? The speed of light is what? 86,000 miles per second, I think, and 86,000 miles per second, right? No, 5,280. No, that's 5,280 feet in a mile. So you've got miles, and then you've got miles per second. They're all in different measurements. You know, I hope I'm coming across right. But it's like saying this number times this number of inches equals this, but what is an inch? That's my ultimate question. What is an inch? What is a mile? What is a foot? What are all these things, and how far back do they go? So with solfeggio, I don't think that there's anything more to it than vibrational frequencies themselves. And so they're number patterns. I can't remember what they're called, but some guy, he really explained it well, saying that people just basically took it to this different level, trying to say that solfeggio were these healing tones, but really they were number patterns, repeating number patterns, which they are, and that's why I was fascinated to find that. I added solfeggio numbers together by chance today because I've been into numbers, and that's when I was like, oh God, 369, here we go again. You know? And just like 6 plus 6 plus 6 is 18, 1 plus 8 is 9. It's all 9. It all comes back to 9. 2 plus 6 plus 1 is 9. 216. 360 degrees. 360. 3 plus 6 is 9. 180 degrees, which is half of that. 1 plus 8 is also 9. And I don't know. 1, 6, 7, 44. Just like you can't do that with other numbers. If I can try to explain. 33 plus 66 is 99, right? If you do 44 plus, say, 55, no, wait, that doesn't work. 44 plus 44, right? And you use base 4 number system or something. You have 88, which is 16. 1 plus 6 is 7, so it's not 8. It doesn't come back to the 4 or the 8. It gets off. All the other numbers get off track. And To a mathematician, this probably sounds just so like, duh, of course. If you understand how the base 3s work, and the base 6 and the base 9, but I don't, this is new to me, so I'm finding it very interesting, and I'm starting to work out some other ideas. I've got some graphs. You know, I've been drawing various compasses and stuff. Eric was very inspiring to me, you know, doing number graphs and stuff. And, you know, working out the solfeggio stuff, trying to connect it to the compass. Here's one for you. This is one I just found. I didn't even realize, but you know, on your usual compass, you got 360 degrees, 45 degrees, 90 degrees. All of those add up to 9. That's why I wrote this down. That's right. 225 is 9. 270 is 9. 315 is 9. And 9 just keeps repeating. And everything comes down to 9. And this hopefully will help to answer somebody that knows better than I do. I'm still trying to figure out exactly where I'm going to take this whole thing, but anyway, there's a lot to be learned. There are a lot of links to put together and a lot of interesting concepts to understand. And yeah, I gotta say, I hope I figure them out one day so I can just... Oh yeah, there's my tarot deck. Cool. Alright, peace out everybody. I'm gonna go. I'm getting stoned now.